brought to you by oneaauto.com, your source for quality parts and the best service on the internet.
Hi, I'm Mike from One Auto. I hope this how-to video helps you out. And next time you need parts for your vehicle, think of oneauto.com. Thanks.
In this video, we're going to be working with our 2001 Ford Ranger 4.0 liter V6. We're going to show you how to remove and replace your radiator fan shroud, which is responsible for making sure that air is channeled through the radiator and into the fan correctly, and that fan gets the right draw of air through the radiator from outside, especially when the vehicle is stopped. These can become cracked or broken and mess up the way the air flows through the radiator, which can make your engine run a little hot, all the way up to overheating and damaging the engine itself. If you like this video, please click subscribe. We have a ton more information on this truck as well as many other makes and models. And if you ever need parts for your vehicle, follow the link in the description over to oneauto.com. Here are the items you'll need for this repair. We're going to remove this cover over the throttle body. Use a small Phillips head screwdriver to remove these two screws and a 7mm socket and ratchet for the bolt in the back. Remove the cover from the intake. We're going to use a flat blade screwdriver to loosen these two screw type clamps on our intake tube. We'll then wiggle the tube off of the MAF sensor in the throttle body and remove it from the vehicle. You'll also have to remove this breather line from the back. So we'll remove the intake tube from the throttle body and the MAF. Pull it straight off the breather and remove it from the vehicle. Ideally, you'll want to use a 36mm wrench or clutch fan removal tool to remove the fan clutch nut from the front of the water pump, but we're going to show you how to remove the fan clutch nut if you don't have the special tools. Your serpentine belt tensioner is located on the passenger side of the engine, just below the alternator. At the bottom, there's a 3/8 square drive, which we'll use the end of a 3/8 drive ratchet for. We're going to pull it clockwise to put more tension on the belt as opposed to going counterclockwise like we would to remove the belt. And then we'll use a long 10mm wrench to remove two of the bolts on the water pump pulley and get us some room to get a wrench on there and remove the clutch fan. We'll break the two bolts loose with the tension on and remove it the rest of the way by hand. Once the bolts are loose, you should be able to take them right out by hand. With the bolts out of the way, you can put a 36mm wrench or an adjustable if you don't have one. Loosen the nut and remove it the rest of the way by hand. Remove the two 10mm bolts at the top of the fan shroud, the socket and ratchet. Grab the fan and the shroud together. Pull up. And remove them from the vehicle. We'll reinstall our fan shroud. It's a little tricky to sneak past the transmission lines. We'll lay our fan shroud back. Sneak our fan in. Reinstall it onto the threads on our water pump. You may have to physically turn the nut for the first couple of threads. You may have to turn the nut a few times by hand to get it started on the threads. Once it's going, we can spin the entire fan assembly to get it on the rest of the way. We'll set our fan shroud into the tabs at the bottom and reinstall the two 10mm bolts at the top. Tighten the bolts down with a 10mm socket and ratchet. So we've got our 3/8 drive ratchet and our tensioner again. We're going to turn that clockwise to put a little extra tension on the belt. Put our adjustable wrench onto the fan clutch nut. Tighten that down as best we can. Now we'll take that same wrench and rotate this around 180 degrees or so, whatever you need to do to get to the other two water pump bolts and reinstall them. We'll start our two 10mm bolts in by hand. We'll put the tension back on the belt and snug up our 10mm water pump pulley bolts. Reinstall the breather line in both ends of the intake tube to the throttle body and the air box. Tighten down the clamps with a flat blade screwdriver. Reinstall the engine cover. We'll tighten down the front two screws with a Phillips head screwdriver, and the rear with a 7mm socket. And you're ready to go.
Thanks for tuning in. We hope this video helped you out. Next time you need parts for your car, please visit oneauto.com. Also check out our other helpful how-to as well as diagnosis videos.